As I had ages and ages ago that I was going to do a post regarding me opinions on hell, and now I'm finally getting around to it at last. That's the thing about me. I don't deliver the goods, but this is part. There's going to be part one of it. I don't. There's going to be two or three parts to this discussion, maybe four. I'm going to start off with a thought experiment. Imagine that there's an author who publishes a book, and it's non-fiction. Well, after this book is published, there's all sorts of different reactions to it. A lot of people are saying it's not factual. It's fiction. It's not really true. And you get a lot of people who were saying it's but parts of it are factual and parts of it are fiction. You get another group of it who actually say that your name is a pseudonym. You don't really exist. This book hasn't actually been written by you, but because you don't exist, your name is used. Is like a pseudonym representative of the people who really did write this book. You didn't write it because you don't exist. And you get another group of people who they misinterpret parts of this book. They don't interpret it the way it was meant to be interpreted. And you get another group of people who publish this book and mistranslate parts of it so that it doesn't mean what it was meant to say. And this author, he tracks down all the people that are saying these things about this book that he's written, and rounds them all. He tracks them all down and rounds them all together, and puts them on this huge wicker basket, and sets fire to it, and burns them all alive. Or he alternatively he tortures them as much as he possibly can for as long as he can keep them alive. For as long as he can keep them alive. He finds ways to torture them for as long, for it makes it very slow. They all die a very slow death. Well, what would your opinions be about author? You wouldn't think he was a very nice person, would you? And there's also I mean, I was on this college course years ago, and there was a bit of a conversation going on between one of the teachers and some between they're having a bit of a conversation about corporal punishment, and this teacher who was teaching on this course, he says, when I was at school they could cane us for making spelling mistakes. Well, what if the situation was a lot worse than that? What if the teachers could pour petrol over them, set fire to them, or keep them alive and torture them for as long as possible for making spelling mistakes? But these But there's also another group of people that this author tortured, and these are the ones who they accepted that his book was factual, but they didn't want to live by its standards because they weren't interested. They wanted to do things their way. They didn't want to follow the instructions written in his book, even though they knew it was factual. And he rounded them up, and these were included in the number in all these different groups of people that he tortured. And this is exactly the same thing that people are saying about God. He's an author. He's written a book called the Bible. People are saying all these exact things, the same things about it. That it isn't factual and so forth, and that he doesn't exist. He didn't write it because he doesn't exist. And people say that because all these groups, all these different groups of people who have all these opinions regarding the Bible, well, when they die, they're all going to be tortured for all eternity. That's what they're saying. So, what's your opinions on this? There's a guy called Bill Weiss who's written a book called. It sold a fair number of copies. I think it was on the bestseller list at one time, and it was called 23 Minutes in Hell. And he's claimed to have a vision about where he's actually been shown what it's like in hell. And right, let's show you off my telly. You can see here, Bill Weiss, what happens when I die.
Technology is all around, but technology alone is not enough. For me,
we're all just a heartbeat away from eternity. In an instant, our lives can be over. But what happens next has fascinated humans since the beginning of time. Take a look.
Death is a topic that most people think about. There are many questions and different beliefs on what happens once life is over. New York Times bestselling author Bill Weiss has found answers to some of those questions. In his new book, What Happens When I Die, Bill shares this knowledge and first-hand accounts of what takes place in the afterlife.
Well, it's fascinating, and we welcome back to the 700 Club a gentleman who has been there and come back, Bill Weiss. His book is called What Happens When I Die? First-hand accounts of a number of people who have had this experience, and you don't want to miss it. It's available where books are sold. Bill, nice to see you. Let's hear again that story. You went to bed, you were a Christian, you weren't particularly thinking about dying, and all of a sudden something happened to you.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. It's an honor to be here with you. Thanks so much for having me. But yeah, this was not a near-death experience I had. This was an out-of-body experience that would be classified as a vision in the Bible. As 2 Corinthians 12:1 and 2, when Paul was caught up into heaven in a vision. So God gave me a vision and showed me this horrible place called hell.
23 minutes in hell. What did you see specifically?
I saw prison cells. I saw a large open area, a pit of fire that was about a mile across. I saw people burning in this prison, in this big pit. There were demons shoving people back in, tormenting people. The stench, I smelled the stench. It's the most foul odors you can't imagine.
Bill, that is so horrible. The human mind can't comprehend it. It's just horrible.
It is, and Pat, it's because, See, hell is a place that was prepared for the devil and his angels. God never intended for man to go there, but he prepared it. What he did was he said they withdrew his attributes. See, because all good comes from God. James 1:17 it says. So in the preparation, he withdrew his attributes. So the reason hell's dark because 1 John 1:5 said God is light.
Yeah.
There's only death in hell because John 1:4 said God is life. There's only hatred in hell because 1 John 4:16 said God is love.
Yeah.
There's no water in hell because Deuteronomy 11:11 says water is the rain of heaven. And on it goes. So if God removed his goodness or his attributes, so that's what remains.
Did you see literal lake of fire?
I saw a pit of fire.
A pit of fire?
I didn't see the lake. I wasn't in the lake of fire. You know, that's
the pit was. What was that like?
Just raging flames into this high open cavern.
And people were in it?
Thousands of people.
Thousands?
Yes.
Burning?
Burning. And they were just in skeleton form.
Screaming?
Fresh, hanging off their bones, screaming. The screams are so loud you want to get away from that, but you can't. You have to know that for all eternity. There's scripture for all this, and that's what's important for people to believe.
The thing that strikes you when you begin to read this is that they talk about everlasting fire forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Right.
There's no end.
There is no end. Isaiah 38:18 says, those who go down to the pit cannot hope for thy truth. And we know Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's too late for them. This goes on for all eternity. You know, remember Revelation 14:10-11 says, the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever, and they have no rest, they know night.
It's so awful. I mean, to think they would be tormented with the devil and his angels forever. That is so horrible. There's no ever, you can't die in that deal, can you?
Right. That's why us as Christians are to proclaim the gospel. You know, Jesus died a horrible death on the cross to keep us out. He doesn't want one person to go to this horrible place. But because he loves man, he gives us a free will to choose. Man has a choice. No one's in hell because they didn't know. They knew the way. They decided to push God away, even though he loves them and tries to keep them out.
How'd you get out after your vision? What got you out of the thing?
Well, God lifted me up out of this dark tunnel where I saw these people screaming, maggots and demons tormenting and snakes.
Sorry, I've got to finish it at this point. Me phone's ringing.
I didn't see his face. I just saw the outline of a man standing in a bright, pure, holy light, like no light I've ever seen.
When you were finished, you were pretty much shook up.